What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, this particular video, as you guys can tell from the description, we're going to cover parries. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the key to parrying, successful parries, is to learn the parry windows and the weapon speeds. Now, this is one of the most tricky weapons to parry. And when you guys are faced against the Litos, the Yukis, or any other type of katana, in many cases, this is what you look like. You may have a person who's swinging either with the R1, well actually either one-handed or two-handed, and this is what happens. I mean, you're stuck just hitting the parry button while your opponent is just slicing away, not only inflicting damage, but hitting you with the bleed accumulation. But this is the trick to the Yukis and other katanas. You just simply take one hit and you parry. That's the key, guys. This is the key. Because a lot of these guys take the speed of the katanas for granted and think that you will not be prepared for the parry. Now, why do I suggest that you go ahead and take one blow and then parry? Katanas were not meant to inflict a lot of damage, right? They offer relatively low damage infliction, but they are paired with the bleed to supplement that. So this is why we do not care about taking one blow. Right now, when you're just getting chopped at, do I suggest you sit here and take it? No, I don't. Right, but that is one tactic. Here's another weapon that oftentimes gives people problems. And if you notice, this is a lot of times what you look like in PvP against the spears, especially the R1 spammers, because they're fast. But the fast weapons have low damage. So here's a tactic. Same thing we did with the Yuki. It's the exact same thing, no different. Because a lot of these weapons that were made for speed do not inflict a lot of damage. Now, for all of you pros out there, I am not covering every single possible way to parry. I am covering the ways that I parry. So I know some of you guys are going to leave comments saying, well, that's not the only way. That's fine, dude. One example with the spear, you can also use the shield, but you really have to be fast on your reflexes because the spears are pretty fast, especially when they spam the R1 button. And this is what happens when you don't get the timing right. You get hit, right? But it's cool. Now, this is one of the more difficult weapons to parry. The great axes, and this includes you know, that big demon hammer, all those big axes and hammers. They're very difficult. But let's take a closer look. Right? Now, there is a delay between the time that you depress the parry button and the time that the character actually swings. If you guys pay attention to that slow motion demonstration, I actually depress the parry button at the height, well actually at the end of the swing and at the height of the new swing, right? Now I know that's kind of convoluted, I guess, but just kind of rewind and pay attention to that slow motion. And you will see that in between the time that the first swing was complete and at the initiation of the second swing is when I actually depress the parry button. And this is why I say the key to parrying is learning the swing speeds and the parry windows for all these weapons. Now, in this particular video, I'm not going to cover all the weapons, but I am going to show you enough weapons to demonstrate that once you understand the parries, the weapon swing speed, you're good. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of interrupted by an invader. You know, no big deal though. You know, but here's another demonstration of when you're comfortable with parrying, you're practically fearless. It doesn't matter what weapon you're faced against because you're comfortable, right? You're familiar with the swing speeds of the weapons, and basically you're just waiting for them to do what many of these type of players do, right? Especially with the two-handed attacks. They just start hitting you with the R1. Nice. But we're prepared in the brigade. That's why you never have to worry. All right, and as you guys can see, shout out to good old short dude 123. He helped me out with this video. Shout out to him. But as you guys can see, once you guys are familiar with these speeds, you're good. It doesn't matter what type of weapon. All right, now I'm using this particular weapon because the moveset is similar to a lot of those axes, like the the axes, like the gargoyle axe, the basic axe that you get with the bandit class. A lot of these weapons have the same movesets. So as you learn the moveset of a particular weapon, you're actually learning the moveset of a class of weapons. Right? So one thing that I suggest, watch a few videos, of guys that do a lot of parries. Jerp Does Games does a lot of parries. Good old Dark Souls Mind Eye does a lot of parries. I do a lot of parries. That PV guy, I don't want to chop his name up, but most of you guys know who I'm talking about. He's good at the parries. So this is exactly what I did. I just actually sat there and watched a few videos, and I kind of learned the timing. And once you learn the timing, it's basically easy as riding a bike. Right? So basically, guys, there is no secret to parrying. The only secret that I would suggest for parrying is for some of the faster weapons, because some of those faster weapons can be kind of tricky, and based upon my experience, they're not really good when using the shield up setup technique. And this is why for those faster weapons, I just use the technique in which you just go ahead, take one hit, and immediately after you take that hit, you just go ahead and hit the parry button. Right? Now, some weapons have different move sets, but it doesn't mean anything once you learn the swing speeds of these weapons. Right now, it will take a little practice like we're doing now, but as you guys can see, once you figure out what the swing speeds are, you're basically always prepared for battle in most situations. Right? Because actually, in most cases, and when I'll say most because there's basically two areas, in my opinion, where a lot of people just kind of, want to kind of go and brush up on their PvP. That's the kiln, and that's also the, the undead berg. Now, will you find a lot of these new players who will just be spamming the R1 and the berg? I would say no. Right? But it doesn't mean that you won't come across it. But in the berg, you kind of have to step your game up. And that's probably a place where the blind parries are best suited. But the kiln, random invasions, it doesn't matter. Because once you learn the timing and the speeds, you can parry just about any weapon. Fast weapons, slow weapons, large weapons, small weapons. It doesn't matter. Right? So that's basically it, guys. Whenever you guys think you need practice, just go ahead and hook up with one of your PSN friends. Get a unbuffed weapon or, a upgraded weapon. So now we're just going to bring this to some real life situation, guys. We've already went through a couple weapons, demonstrated some of the swing speeds. Now we're just going to go into some examples of some real life invasions, because in a lot of cases, those parries are so effective that in times that I think I'm actually going to lose, which is usually when people start, spamming the R1. Like maybe they hit you with a backstab or something. And once they hit you with the backstab, they just kind of stand next to you and they're ready to spam the R1. That's usually the best time to parry, because they're so overconfident, and the damage that they inflicted, and maybe it's a backstab or something like that, they just kind of say, okay, well, let me finish this guy off. But oftentimes that's where they make the mistake, right? Or another example, they'll see you, especially these katana players, and as you'll see, I have my shield down, right? But my shield down is for a reason. A lot of time these guys think, holy crap, this guy's just kind of circling me with a shield down. Well, let me just kind of hit him with the, with the spam and the R1. But it doesn't work, because especially for, I'll say, the katanas, the balder sword, the short sword, some of these other fast weapons, my shield is down for a reason. Let's check out this spear user. It's the same tactic, right? Especially when he two-hands it. I know what he's going to do. Doing. Every time. Every time. And if you guys are paying attention, that's 1100 damage with no hornet ring, right? So I mean, the parries, they can really make or break most games. Now, like I said before, some of these vets, the tactic may not work, because most vets don't sit here and spam the R1 button, right? Or I'll just say they don't always spam the R1 button, because I spam the R1 button at times, right? Depending upon what the situation is, I spam it. Of course I do. But you have to know when to spam and when not to spam. Now, one thing to keep in mind with regard to parrying, right? There's a type of player that I'd like to call the counter-parrier. What do I mean by the counter-parrier? These guys are the most dangerous to anyone who relies heavily on guys who like to spam the R1, like me. I'm a parry user. I'm a rapier user, right? So rapiers specialize in critical damage, backstabs and parries. That's what I basically expect for people to do. But the counter parriers are basically my worst enemy. This is the technique of the counter parrier. What they do is, once they see that you are attempting to parry, and these are usually guys with the more heavier weapons, they swing once, right? They know you're going to try to parry, but immediately after they swing, they circle and backstab. These guys are the most dangerous to deal with, and you have to keep this in mind. Once you see that they do that once, stop trying to parry, right? Because they are anticipating you trying to parry, and they are hoping that you parry. Because think about it. They swing once. You parry attempt. You missed, right? And they just start circling around. So they probably say to themselves, okay, watch him try to parry me again. And they are prepared, guys. So these type of players, you want to stay away from them when you see them. Remember, they swing once, circle around you, and backstab. Right? So even though a lot of guys fall victim to the parries, make sure you are paying close attention to the counter parriers. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. For some of you who kind of wanted some help on parries, I hope the video helped. Alright guys, catch you guys next time. Martyrs Brigade is out.